Good afternoon and welcome, and hello. Hope you're happy in the Happy New Year sense. It's 2026 already. It's scary. Just hang on 1 second. I just need to find out if I'm going live. If you can see or hear me, please give me a thumbs up. I pressed go live quicker than I thought I had. Sorry. It should be okay. Let's have a quick look. No. Okay. Oh, yeah, it looks like it's working. That's good. I got a thumbs up. Thank you very much, whoever sent the thumbs up. Much appreciated. Oh, it's going to be one of those days, guys. I can just tell it is one of those days. Oh, so much for being professional. Who says that? Not me. Okay, so let me start at the beginning. Hi, Lynn. Thank you for joining me. My name's Cary. I'm an independent Stampin' Up demonstrator here in the United Kingdom. I live halfway between London and the South Coast in a town called Crawley. And I love what I do and I share what I love, which is creating. I'm a very creative person. I like to get messy with ink and stamps and all sorts. But today I'm going to make a fun fold. I'm not sure what it's called, but maybe you can make a suggestion for me. So you don't want to look at me anymore. Let me turn the camera around. If you follow me at all, you might have seen yesterday I had, before I get into that, here's my little poster. I am honoured to be presenting in Kevin's winter online retreat. So if you're interested, it's amazing value. $47.50 is about £42, I think, plus some change. Hi, Charlie. I'm going to be presenting one of the projects for this event, and there are 36 presentations for this event. So over 3 days, there's a private Facebook group where there's all sorts of fun and games going on, and there is extra goodies being shared and live presentations by Kevin himself. So much going on. So if you're interested, give me a shout and I can get you signed up for that. Okay, so back to what we're doing today. This is the card I shared as a bit of a sneak peek yesterday of what we're doing. This is my prototype. Ta-da! Let's see if I can come out a little bit. There you go. I think it's a centered diamond pop-out card, but I've put a little bit extra on it. And I used these gorgeous turtley awesome papers because it was fun. But today's version is going to be a little bit more grown up, shall we say, a little bit more floral. So what am I going to use for this card? It's actually deceptively easy to do. So put that to one side. What are we going to use? Well, we're going to be using some products that are on the last chance list. Charming Day stamp set. It's on the last chance list. Here in the UK, it is down to £13.20. Amazing good value for such a pretty stamp set. And look, you get nice florals, you get sentiments, some leaves. And the dies, which coordinate and are also called Charming Day, are reduced to £19.80. And you get this beautiful, beautiful die cut, intricate die cut, as well as a couple of others, as well as being able to cut out your stamped images. So that's the set I'm working with, and I'm also going to be using one of my all-time favourite sets, a set of dies called Nested Essentials, just for this little one, and you'll see that later on. What am I going to be making the card with? Well, I decided I would use some of the paper that goes with it. Hi Andrea, the papers are called Floral Charm, and that is all I have left of it. It's a fab pack. Look at these different colours, gorgeous florals, some foliage. I know there's others in here. Look at that, that's so pretty. I'm literally down to the scraps in here. These pieces, it's beautiful. So I thought I'd share a card using this pretty paper. And I'm pairing it up with the colours in the paper pack. Let me go to that first. The colours are Berry Best, Blackberry Bliss, Mossy Meadow, Night of Navy, Pretty Peacock and Timid Tiger. Now there is no mention of any browns or creams, but I think this paper goes particularly well with Basic Beige and Crumb Cake. So that's what I'm going to use for this. I'm going to use some Early Espresso ink and some Crumb Cake ink and a blending brush when I can find it. Oh, no, I will find one in a minute, because I'm not going to stamp a sentiment, because I wanted a get well soon. So I think I'm going to use this. This is the Greetings for All Mix and Match. Amazing step. And I think we're going to use that. But before we get to that, let's put the, what do we call this? Basic Beige to one side. We're not going to use that yet. Pretty paper. And look at the other side. It's so gorgeous. I'm going to pop that up there. Now I have a question. Do I make my card base in the Blackberry Bliss with mats of Crumb Cake, or do I go the other way and go a Crumb Cake card base, Blackberry Bliss mat with the paper? Oh, I think I know what I like. Any suggestions? First one that says, puts up, I will go that way. Sorry, I can't craft without a cup of tea. I don't know about where you are, but here in my small part of the world, it's been very chilly. Very chilly indeed. We actually had snow today. I did have to laugh though. We had an amber weather warning where we are for 2 to 3 centimetres of snow. And someone I follow on YouTube lives in Michigan, and they had a weather warning for 2 to 3 feet of snow. I thought that was just perfect. Perfect, Lynn, thank you very much. So we're going to use these for our mats and our decoratives, and we're going to use this Crumb Cake for our card base. So let's bring in the trimmer. We're going to cut this. I am going to put a post up tomorrow with all the written measurements, and I will endeavour to put them in Imperial as well, because I'm working metric. And I know a lot of the lovely people that watch these videos are in the States and they would like them in Imperial. So I'll give it a go. Okay, so we're going to put our paper in portrait, and we're going to cut it at 14.85. So we now have a long narrow strip and this long strip. We're then going to trim this down. We're going to put it in landscape, and we're going to cut it at 28 centimetres. This is going to be slightly narrower than our standard C6 cards when it's finished, but it's okay. We're okay with that. So let's start with the scoring. So we have a piece that is now 14.85 by 28 centimetres. We're going to put it in our trimmer, or whatever you use, scoreboard, landscape, so that's the long edge at the top. and we're going to score it at 8 centimetres, 14 centimetres, so that's 8, 14 and 20 centimetres. Okay, so that's the scoring. You probably can't see these score lines, but I promise you they are there. We're then going to grab a ruler and a pencil. Sorry, no, we're not going to grab a ruler. We're going to do it this way. I've got a propeller pencil, and I'm going to pop my landscape again in, paper in, that's just been scored, and I'm going to mark the top and the bottom at 11 centimetres. Make sure you've got it level all the way up there. 11 centimetres and 17 centimetres. So let's extend the arm and go right out across there. You probably can't see that on the screen, but I promise you it's 11 and 17. But I'm just putting marks in. So can you see there? Oh, that's a bit of a fluffy edge, isn't it? We might have to do something with that in a moment. Let's close our trimmer up, and we're going to do some more scoring. We're going to score from, there's our 3 score line. We're going to score from the mark to the mark. So we're going to go top left to bottom right on our scores from our marks. So we're going to line the mark up in the centre of the gully on our trimmer. If you have a scoreboard, fab, use that. If you don't, oh, Happy New Year, Anya. Let's hope it's a good one, honey. If you don't have a scoreboard or a trimmer that has a scoring tool, you can always use a ball tip and ruler, but I like to use my handy dandy trimmer. One piece of kit and then I don't lose it. It's also quite large, so I don't lose it. Okay, so we've scored diagonally. Now we're going to repeat the process, but this time going from top right to bottom left, just on those marks. Oh, excuse me. Oh. I said the weather was bad. I didn't say I felt bad. So we now have 1, 2, 3 score lines going horizontally, no vertically, and 2 score lines going diagonally. So let's take the trimmer away and grab our bone folder, and let's reinforce these folds. Oh, I can't stop sneezing now. So I'm going to fold the 2 outside ones in first, and I'm going to make sure that I get those nicely lined up. I really want them to be lining up with the edge of the card there. And that one doesn't want to go, so let's just manoeuvre that a minute. And give it a bit of welly. Excuse me again. Oh, there we go. So we've done that. Then we're going to fold it in half and score along that centre score line, the 14 centimetre line. Then we're going to take our diagonals and we're going to fold them like that. Oh, I know a couple of people who've had that nasty cold over Christmas, more like flu, I think. So we're going to fold that one. So we've got that diagonal. Going to rotate and go for this diagonal. So we now have everything folded. So let's just remove our marks. And we have a card. Now, this is the trickiest part of the whole thing. Well, no, there is one other tricky part, but it's not that tricky. So what we're going to do is we're going to push the 2 the centre fold line. So I've got it now, got it portrait. We're going to pop it up and push the centre score line in and bring the two diagonal lines to meet. And we're going to get our lines neatly, as well as we can, in place. Give that a nice bit of welly on that score line. I'm going to do the same on the other side. Line it up and use our bone folder to get that fold in there. We're going to go on both sides, constantly checking that these edges line up, because that will help us create a beautiful card. And that, when you push those two forward, is your card base. I told you it was easy. It's really not that tricky, is it? And now you get to have all the fun of decorating it. So, what are we going to do? Well, I'm going to add some mats and some pattern paper on top. Oh, you cheeky. No, you haven't sent me the code. I don't know. There's something in the air. It's just making me ticklish. But it'll be good. All good. So I'm going to cut myself my contrast colour. And I'm going to cut a piece at 14.4. And then I'm going to cut myself two pieces that are 14.4 by 7.5. And these are going to be on the outside of my card. But I'm not going to get rid of this piece. I'm going to use this because this is a bit of a waste not, want not kind of card. So I've got those two pieces there. I'm then going to bring my piece of Blackberry Bliss back, and I'm going to trim that piece down again to 14.4. I find personally it's easier this way for me, because then I don't keep faffing around trying to find where it needs to go. And I now need two panels that are 5.5 wide. Okay, I'm going to pop that to one side because we need our ruler and pencil again. And this time we're going to put the strip, so this is 5.5 words that have left my brain, sorry. 5.5 centimetres that way and 14.4 that way. So I'm going to put it in my trimmer and I'm going to line it up to 7.2. So 7, 1, 2. And I'm going to use my pencil to mark the centre point. Okay, I'm going to do that on both pieces. What we're doing here is we are creating the triangle-y, pointy outy bitties. 1, 2, 3, yep, 7.2. There. So this is the area we're doing. So I'm just going to double check that that is at 2.5 centimetres. So I'm now going to mark, I'm going to keep my centre mark on the right, and I'm going to mark at 2.5 centimetres the opposite direction. And again on this one, I don't have to worry about it going in opposite directions because it's double-sided. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to cut from the centre point to the point on the side. So that point on the side is basically going to be 1/2 centimetre smaller than our card. But we're going to keep these. These pieces we need to keep. So don't throw them away. Okay. So we now have one like that. Let's do another one. So we've got our centre point. We've got our 2.5 centimetre mark. And one. And again in the opposite direction. Now I can't find the 1.5 centimetre mark. Hang on a second. Let's put that back in there. Just checking. Just get that mark in there, a bit more visible. Yeah, that's better. And we're going to cut from there to there. Obviously, on lighter card, you will find this a little easier. And you don't have to do all these layers. You could do this part as I did on the original, just as pattern paper. But this is going to my sister-in-law's mum, who's poorly at the moment, so I wanted to, my mum asked me to make a card, so that's what I'm doing. I'm being a good daughter. So we now have these pieces, which we will use to decorate with, like that. Can you see the shape there? It's reflecting this shape when it's lying down. So we've got all those pieces. Now we have to do that all again, but with patterned paper this time. So I'm going to pick this piece of paper and I'm going to trim it at, what am I trimming it at? I'm going for 13.9 centimetres, 1/2 centimetre shorter every time. So I'm going to need two pieces that are 7 centimetres to go there. And there. And then I'm going to need some more of this to do for the middle. But I think I might put the, do you reckon, should I use the tone one or should I go all floral? I don't know yet, but I do know I need to cut another panel. So let's get another piece of card, paper, not card. So it needs to be 13.9 centimetres by 5 centimetres this time. We need 2 of them. There's one, and this will do the other one. 5. I must admit, this is not a new suite of products. It's been around for a little bit, but I have never really played with it that much until I got to this. I really am enjoying it. So we're going to do exactly the same again. So we've got 5 by 13.9. Now 5 by 13.9 in half is 14 minus a half. So we're going to go for, find the 7 and just drop back. So if I were to do 6.9, that would be 6.9 plus 6.9 would be 13.8. So just a smidge. And I'm only going to mark one piece of paper for this one because I'm going to cut them together so that they are the same, but this time the marks on the sides are at 2 centimetres. So there's your panel marked in the middle and 2 centimetres up from the bottom. I'm going to put them both together to back, so that when I cut them, they will both have the pattern on the outside, in case I decide to use the pattern. So make sure they're nice and neatly tucked together. Line up our marks as before into the centre of the gully. Make sure you're happy with it before you start cutting, because you can't stick it back on. But what's the old adage? Measure twice, cut once. And again, we're not throwing these away. We're going to reuse those. And we're going to line this up and line that up. So the centre and there. And keep these pieces as well. Okay. Now, let's get to some sticking, shall we? I'm going to pop this pretty paper on here. I do think this is so pretty. It's such a delicate look. And who would have thought that brown would make lovely leaves? And I'm not just talking about the dead ones either. Like my little rose plant, I seem to be doing a good job of not making that very happy. But hey ho, don't forget, if you're doing this with a directional paper, you would want to be very aware of where you're cutting and how you're cutting, and quite possibly would want to make sure it flows if it is. I like this because it's not particularly directional. Okay, so now we have a decision. Do we go with the pattern running all the way across, or do we go for the colour on the pop out piece? What do you think? This is my original. Can you see how I've used the pattern there and the pattern there, but the other side, my alternative on the middle? Or do you think it would work better as a solid flow of pattern going across? I don't know. I'm going to have a quick slurp of my tea, whilst you lovely ladies and gents let me know what you think. I think I know the other thing I need to do. I don't know if my sentiments are still coming up all right, but we're going to go with dun, dun, dun. Anybody? No comments? Do we keep the pattern flowing with the florals, or do we swap them over at the top there and go for the reverse of the paper? This is double-sided paper, so we've got two to choose from. What do we do? That is the trouble. I can't decide. No. Okay, I'm going to decide. Sorry, has somebody put something up? Oh, the reverse of the paper. Okay, thank you, Andrea. I like a decisive decision. Shame I'm not very decisive. Okay, so we're going to go for the reverse. So let's just line all these pieces up. Now, I don't know if you can see, but that point isn't particularly... Oh, Wendy said pattern all the way. Sorry, Wendy. You got there a fraction too late. Maybe you can make one with pattern all the way and you can share it with us later. What I was saying was my point there isn't perfect, but I'm not worrying about that because for this card I'm going to put my little pop-out piece over the centre and nobody will be any the wiser. So there we have those. Okay, so now what do we do with these pieces? I think I need to work out where they go. So I'm going to use the pattern side for the inner pieces here, and I need to make sure that they are going the right way. So that one needs to go there and that one goes there. Can you see how that lies up? Thank you, Sue. That then lies up, and we've got these. So we're going to trim these down a fraction. These need to be 1/2 centimetre shorter than they are on the moment so that they fit in here. So they're going to go in this triangle part here. But can you see how that's too long? It's overhanging. So what we're going to do is grab the ruler, my trusty dusty, and we're just going to check that's going to be 1 centimetre smaller there. So let's take all these Blackberry Bliss ones and we're going to trim all of those 1 centimetre shorter. So we're going to pop them at the top and we're going to line up for one and trim off. We're going to double check that it fits. And it does nicely. So that's good. So let's go back to this and do the rest. So make sure we have a straight edge at the top. Take it across to the one and cut. And again. And again. So that's all 4 of those, and we're going to need to do the same for our patterned pieces. So we've got 4 coloured. Let's grab the patterned pieces. And what we're going to do is we're just going to double check that they... See, they're miles too big, aren't they? They're too wide and too long. So what are we going to do? Well, we're going to trim them up. We're going to take off 1 centimetre down there, and we're going to take off 1 centimetre that way, so that they fit in there. In fact, if I measure that, I think I only need to take off 1.5 centimetres. Let's see if I can make it work. So 1.5 centimetres. And that should fit inside there quite neatly. I'm going to trim a little smidge off of there. Now, this is not an exact science. There, that's better. So I'm going to stick that onto there so that it doesn't lose. Now, if you are the kind of person that needs exact measurements, I'm sure the mathematicians amongst you will be able to work it out. But I'm not a mathematician, so I'm not. I'm just going for what I think looks good. So we're going to pop that again in there, like that. And that's going to be 1.5, I believe. Yes, 1.5 centimetres off the bottom, the widest part. And what does that look like on there? That looks good to me. Maybe just a smidge off of there. But no, I'm not going to. If I wasn't live, I probably would sit and do it, but I don't have the time to start making bits up. So here we go. We're just going to find that point on there. Yep. And we're going to chop off 1.5. You may have to turn it over to make sure you've got the long edge up there so that it's easy to cut, but that's okay. We can do that. Fortunately, the cardstock, it doesn't matter which way around. So we're just going to put that in there. Wiggle it around until it's there. And the last one, we're going to do the same here. We're going to make sure that goes down. Yep, 1.5. And stick that on. I find when you've got these little pieces, I find it a lot easier to wrong way round. I find it a lot easier to stick these before going ahead with the main part, because they just get in the way and I lose them and I drop them and all that jazz, and we don't need that. Okay, so we have 1, we have 2, we have 3, and we have 4. And there's all our pieces. So let's pop them on our card base. I'll start with the outside panels. I'm using wet glue. You do you and choose your watch. Okay, Anya. Sorry, darling. I'm lining up and I'm just going to lay that there. I'm going to take my inner panel and pop that in the centre of that panel. It's very easy. This, I think it has far more of a complex look than it is in reality. A couple of marks and a few score lines and you're done. And that's looking nice. Make sure your flowers are up the right way. Now, that's the other reason I chose to use a not particularly specific way of pattern paper for this piece here, because it doesn't really matter which way my flowers are going. Which means I don't have to panic about pattern matching. But I do think that looks rather pretty, if I do say so myself. So let's put this into those diagonal pieces. Diagonals, they're little triangles. Okay, nearly finished with this card base. How are we doing on time? Not bad at all. Now, the next part of the card that we need to worry about is our pop-up panel. So I was gonna deal with that next. So there we have it, and that is our card coming together. Now, these pieces are what I would use to decorate the front of my card with. All these. This piece I'm going to use to create the pop-out part. So this part, this has a mechanism behind it, allows this to stand up but fold flat to tuck inside. So let's give it a go. Now, one of the things we're going to need is I'm using this, and that's going to come out of there. So let me just grab that. Oh no, before I do that, I need to make my pop-up, don't I? So what do I need? I need a piece of cardstock that's the same colour as my card base, or you could go for the contrast. It's entirely up to you. I'm going to stick with my card base colour, and that panel needs to be 1.5 centimetres by 6 centimetres. Yes, that is just that. So I'm going to go 1.5 that way, and then I'm going to go 6 centimetres this way. Now we're going to do a bit more scoring. We're going to score it at 1 centimetre, 2 centimetres, and you could do it at 4 and 5, but I'm going to swap it around and go 1 and 2 again. You'll end up with the same thing. So we now have our little strip with scores. Can you see how I've folded that to create that shape? Isn't that an omega or something? I can't remember. I'm not into the Greek stuff. So we have this. And what are we going to do with it? Well, we're going to attach it to the midpoint of our card. So we're going to squeeze those ends together so they meet each other like that. We're going to place some adhesive on each side. Came out quite easily. And then we're going to pop this so that that centre, where those two edges meet, is going to go down the centre fold of the card. So the little legs are either side of the centre panel, of the centre score line. I like wet glue because it gives me a little bit of wiggle. Give it time to sit and grab. Okay, now I've got my fingers sticky and now it's pulling it up. Okay, so there we go. Make sure it's in the right place. And handle it a little bit if you like. Squeeze it so that it sits like that over that centre point, so that when it's closed, it pops up, but it will fold either way. So that's that. Let's crack on with getting something designed to go in the middle. So I am going to cut myself a strip of basic beige. Ugh, I got sticky scissors. I need to get my glue rubber on them. Oh, I should have used a trimmer. Oh, Cary, you are doing badly today. Okay, so I've got my little panel here that I'm going to put through. I'm also going to die cut out. I'm going to stamp this little flower, and we're going to die cut him out at the same time. So there we go. That piece I'm going to use on the front, but it's not going to stay white. We're going to colour it in a minute. So first things first, let's stamp our flower. Pop that on there. And I'm going to grab my ink, which I have got Plum Cake and Early Espresso. I'm going to stamp my flower in Early Espresso. 1, 2, 3. I'm then going to put that to one side. I'm going to bring in one of the very first things I purchased 15 odd years ago. Was one of these, a pack of these. They're called blender pens, and I think they're fab little tools. And I'm going to colour using it, and I'm going to use pecan pie and blackberry bliss. I'm going to start with my pecan pie. Now, tip, if you want to try and squeeze this so that the ink goes into the lid, put your hands like that and push together. Otherwise, get a block and put the block on there. Now this has got no colour, but if I pick up the ink from here, it gives me colour. Isn't that cool? It turns every ink pad into a marker. Now, if you are a Stamping Right marker fan, you'll know that we have discontinued that line. So this pen could be your new best friend. They are so useful and they last such a long time. They are user-friendly all the way. So just do a little bit of colouring. You can add some depth. The only thing I will say is, because we stamped with a water-based ink, the blender pen will pick up the colour that we have stamped and move it. So you have to be careful. So that's the brown done. I'm going to clean that off. Can you see how there's no colour left on there? All gone. So on the lids stack, which I find useful. Squeeze, open, and pick up your next colour. Now this will stain the nib. That's okay. We don't care. We don't care. We're going to just gently take our colour and add it. The colour, when you're using these blender pens, will gradually lessen as the ink pigment runs out. Because you're only picking up a teeny tiny amount at a time. So you can go back, you can add layers, but beware. These are juicy and they may make your paper a little fuzzy if you overdo it. I actually don't mind that too much because I think it gives it a watercolour-y look. I think that has a watercolour-esque feel to it, which I'm quite liking. So I'm just going to go in and add a bit more depth and dark. I'm looking at the flowers on the paper for guidance. I'm no artist. So I'm just going to follow the colours that are in the paper. Just picking up and adding a little darkness around that centre area. And again, it's almost like a watercolour effect, which is quite pleasing. There we go. There's my little flower. Close that up. Don't need that, but I do need to get rid of that colour. So what am I going to do? I'm going to scribble it out. You see how it's just run clear. So I started there and it's ended up with nothing. The tip is a little bit stained, but it won't run through. It's fine. So I think that's a really fun way to add colour. So next up, what are we doing? We're going to do a bit of die cutting. We're going to die cut that panel, and we're going to take this and we're going to die cut this out. Again, this is an outline die cut, so it does give you a little shadow or halo around the outside, which some people don't like. If you don't like it, then may I suggest that you grab yourself a pair of good scissors and fussy cut it out. You can fussy cut a halo as well, but because I've got I'm going to be using my little die cutting machine, I might as well use the die. So I'm going to bring out my little die cutter. I'm going to take my pieces. Thank you, Dixie. And I'm going to pop them on the small one. Now, if you have this mini cut and emboss machine, please, please, please remember that the plates need to be layered. You have plate 1, then you go back a fraction for plate 2, and then the second plate 2 goes over the top. So it creates almost like a capital E. And that way it will go through your machine, no trouble at all. And I think that's my number one tip for using the mini machine. Always stagger your plates. You will get a much better finish. So we have our pieces that I cut out. I'm just going to pop those in my magnetic tray so I don't lose them. And that's my flower is going to go on there. But I said I was going to do something with this on the front, didn't I? And I don't want that to be that colour. What am I going to do about that? Well, what I'm going to do about it is I'm going to colour it, but I'm going to colour it with a blending brush. Now, I have a big bag of blending brushes that are all sorts of colours. And I bet you I can't find the right one. So I may end up with just going for a fairly clean one. It is clean, it's just dyed. And all I'm going to do, now this is basic beige, but I'm going to make this crumb cake because I want it to stand out a little bit. Oh, that was the other thing I needed, was the sentiment. Now I want this as a get well soon card, and I couldn't find a get well soon. But I did find a lovely little delicate get well soon here. So I'm going to go with that. But again, it's white, and I don't want white on this card. This card is all soft, neutral tones rather than white. So what am I going to do? I'm going to get my blending brush. I've got a piece of kitchen roll to hand. I'm going to grab some ink. Just going to gently go round and round, pick up the ink. I'm going to take my brush and very gently colour my panels and pieces. It doesn't have to be perfect, it doesn't have to be exact. I just need to change the tone. I need it to be a different colour to white. So I'm starting off, I'm gently brushing on. You can always add, but you can't take away with this game, sadly. And then we're going to go for that piece there. See, it's quite a quick process. So if you were die cutting and you choose not to use a piece, put it back in the packet and pick it for another project. Not the right colour? Don't worry. We can change the colour. can go for a darker shade of something. You don't have to be stuck with what you have. I had white, now I have crab cake. Just going to dip that little bit there, darken. I want these leaves to be a little darker on the edges, and then I'm going to pop that to one side. And then I'm going to take my sentiment. Now that's why I have the tissue, because I'm going to colour it all over. Like so. And then I'm going to huff on it. And then I'm going to buff it with a piece of cloth, just so that I can see it was white and now it's crumb cake. That's going to be going on here. Close that ink pad up. And, where have they gone? There they are. These are the gems that coordinated with this week. Sadly, they have actually now sold out here in the UK. You can use plenty of other ones, I'm sure. But I'm going to use these for this project. So, we have our panel, we have our sentiment. We're going to pop that. We're going to pop that on there, like that. Oh, that's my landline going. I quite like it like that. The only thing I will say, you do need to be aware that anything that goes over there may pop out the side. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to perhaps cut this to stagger it. So don't be afraid to cut things up. We're just going to take our scissors and we're going to go like that. We're going to go back in. Well, and round out those corners. Get well, and the last one soon. And again. Now, this time I would get my blending brush and just do those cut edges, because they will perhaps show up as white and I won't want that. So just a little brush, there's nothing left on the brush to just do that edge, that cut edge. So let's stick this together. So I'm going to place my flower down flat here. It can go over the edges slightly, it's okay. And then I'm going to get my sentiment and that I've split up. I'm going to stick that. I put the wrong one there. Oh, good job, the glue's good. That's a nice reason for using a wet glue. Get well, and then soon. It gives you a little bit of wiggle room. There we go. Get well soon. when it comes out. Ooh. So that's our top up for the bit. Thank you, Lynn. Then all we have to do is put some adhesive on the springy bit in the middle. Pop our panel in the middle. Whilst it's still damp, we're going to close it up to make sure it fits in. Okay. See how that little piece hangs over? So we'll close it that way and we'll get that to go like that. And that's that. So that is the card. Now I'm going to use a couple of these gems and then I will bid you all a fond adieu. I will decorate the front, then I will share that with you tomorrow on my blog post and on Facebook, along with the finished project. Oh, now I'm debating. Well, yeah, we're just going to go there for now. So I've got my gems, I've got that, and I'm going to use these pieces to decorate the front here, so that we can have a nice front to the card as well. But as I say, I will do that later and share that with you tomorrow. But that is how you make this fun diamond, centered diamond, pointy pop out card. A card with lots of names that actually is reasonably easy to do. And I hope you think so too. I don't think it's tricky. I think it's very easy so long as you're confident with scoring. So there you have it. Thank you for joining me. I do hope you enjoyed that. I am going to give you one more plug for Kevin's winter online retreat. It's on the 30th of January to the 1st of February. It's over 3 days. Here in the UK, the timing, oh, it's in America. It'll be too late for us. You're right. It's going to be a late night. But you don't have to watch it all live. You can watch this on repeat. The videos, the presentations are all going to be YouTube videos. So they're there forever. You don't have to worry about it. The lives, the Facebook lives, the live demonstrations that Kevin's doing, you will also be recorded. So you can see everything for as long as you like. So I think for 36 presenters plus 6 plus the extra ones that Kevin is doing in his Facebook group in the lead up to this, you're going to end up with about over 44 different card 3D projects, scrapbook pages to inspire you at less than 50 quid. I think that's brilliant value for money. So there we go. If you were interested in that, give me a shout. Watch out for this card tomorrow, and I hope you've enjoyed that little how to create that fun. And it does stand up and it folds flat for your posting, fits in a C6 on it. Brilliant. I love it. Okay, thank you for joining me. Take care. Look after yourselves. Bye bye.